Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday Live. So I am here today to talk to you about what can you do when your team members are not connected to your mission anymore. You feel like they're disengaged. What can you do when you've spent probably your entire career and building an organization from ground up? And now you grew, you scaled fast enough that some people just got hired to support your team, but they are not the same type, if you wish, or the same quality of engagement. They don't show that quality of engagement with your mission. And how can you revive that mission? It is very critical in any organization to live that mission, to not just understand it and connect with it, but everything that you do to connect, to relate to that mission. So if you live by the mission that you are creating, and you're energizing all the other people to believe what you are doing, it's critical, it's important for some of your clients. I would challenge, do you want to double check whenever something comes up in your organization that you feel like it's not working? Take the temperature of where is your team in relationship with your mission. They may just not connect with it anymore. It may be the time that you add or modify a few words, or just go back and revive that. If you are an entrepreneur right now, if you're thinking that your sole purpose is to sell in a way to your client, whatever a product that you create, and that is the product that you create with your team, you'll be very intentional about how to put that in your market. You'll verify what is out, what the market wants, and you'll also revive your marketing messages pretty often. And yet, we're not spending the time as leaders to make sure that our team is all set up in a way to serve our clients and energize like we would be selling that product. Because there is no difference if you think about it. It's going to help us if we remind ourselves and keep in front of our eyes when we are hired. Why are we doing that? Why is it important for us to be there? And with the training that became a little bit too specific, too technical, but we kind of forget about that emotional charge that needs to happen in order for us to create that space in which we are now coming in, and we can contribute, and we can make adjust and make some of those changes that are needed to thrive, to get that team to the next level. So I'm coming here today to propose you 5 things that you could do. And just give me a second. I need to stop this fan. It's making a noise. And I think it's going to be more quieter in a second. And my background here, I'm not sure if you hear that, probably not. But if you are, you're probably going to hear my voice in a better projection right in about a second, right now. Okay. So now that fan is not moving anymore. So here are those 5 steps, 5 things that are not necessarily steps. I'm going to reframe them as ways in which you can pick up 1, pick up 2 of those things, do all of them at the same time. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. There are some ideas that can spark your course of action in order to get those people to come back and engage again, connect with the mission. Because this is a very powerful strategy that taps into the fundamentals of the human love that we have. And the one that I want to tell you about it is the storytelling. How can you use the storytelling? It's going back and borrow from other places that you could bring in and create some kind of a stories that steer the soul of your team. Think about what is that foster a deeper connection with with your team and to overarching mission. See how you can come up with those stories and how can you present them in such a way that you're creating this culture in your team that is a culture of a storytelling. And you heard this in the past. It's one of the techniques that is not new. It's very old, over 2000 years old. So think about how that was the power of the storytelling. You'll find that in so many ways, but what I would like for you to invite you to do with this is to take back and organize some regular meetings or even parts of the meetings. If you already have a meeting that's a 1 hour long, you will be able to craft 10-15 minutes in that meeting at the beginning, middle, and the end, where you bring this practice in. And you could just think about those, even forums, could be forums where your team members can share personal anecdotes about the real related to the work, about them being out in the trenches and challenges they overcome and how they have seen this company mission in action. Relate that, hire an intern if needed to capture that, put it like in a quick movie, put it like in a quick story tell that you can post on your LinkedIn or on any other places and share with others as well, so they can understand what your mission, what your organization is about. So now this can transpire even into the way in which you're presenting your brand, your organization. But I'm coming back to keep your people motivated. So let's just stay within that context. This could be part of any kind of a team meeting, special luncheon or lunch and learn, wherever you have a session, please dedicate this time for those storytelling events. Or you could go a little bit more technical if you wish, using the technology and have a place for people to submit their stories about their clients or about the challenge that they overcame in a team. Could be anything that's happening internal. Have them reflect, pause and reflect, because that is what's going to help them not only reconnect with that mission and understand the mission better, but they will learn from that. So they're kind of like a double benefit that you're getting here, at least two. And you can start any kind of a meeting, like I'll give you an example, with some mission moments. Let's just get someone to share a brief story about the highlights or how their work, or a colleague of their work, or anybody else that is related, contributed directly to that mission. And this can reinforce the importance of an individual contribution, but also it shows how it ties to the bigger picture. Another way is to leverage those diverse mediums that we have, digital story platforms or visual storytelling. So for the digital story platforms, you could also look at how can you utilize your intranet, your company intranet, the newsletter, social media channels, anything that you have to share, or written or video stories. Remember that you'll have to create something that will appeal to your audience, and your audience at this moment, you need to know them very well because they work for you, and you need to have the time to identify what is the best way that they learn. How do they learn? They learn by reading, by writing, by watching a movie, by what is that type of learning? If you know that, then you know how to create a content for them. So coming back to highlight story of the triumph, you could just teamwork or resiliency, or also can inspire any of that. Those kind of stories could inspire employees and remind them about the company's values and goals. You could use the visual storytelling by using photos and videos and infographics that can tell a story. You could get them elements that they can be powerfully conveying the emotion and the highlights of a human element that's happening in that work and mission that is accomplished, it's achieved. But also show the struggles. Show, if you like to do like a documentary of something that happened, what the moments of struggle, if you take the time to record them in a way and then put them back together, or just share them as raw as they are, it will contribute to creating this culture in which we're embedding trust and vulnerability as a way for us to connect with the reality that exists. And we're going to inform also our management and leadership to the truth of what is the rubber meeting the road, what exactly is happening at that point. So be courageous to do that. It can be not just from a top-down initiative, but bottom-up. So you could focus on authenticity and also be relatable. What is that relatability in your story? Some of the good examples for that would be an employee spotlight. I've seen this in other companies. I think this is not as new, or it's utilize feature stories for different employees, especially from those in the roles that may not be typically in the spotlights. So you could showcase diverse experiences and perspective that can help those employees to see the value in every role that exists, and also how that role contributes to the mission. Always bring it back to the mission. And I already mentioned this briefly, the leadership vulnerability. It's so powerful because you can encourage those leaders to share their own stories about the challenges and how they overcame them. And if they don't overcame them, they're still in the process of learning. That's even better in a way, because you're going to get people to sense that energy, and maybe a better idea or something great comes up from what you're sharing at that moment, which helps you to make a decision or course of action to identify a solution. So when leaders are vulnerable, it creates more inclusive atmosphere that encourages others to share and engage more openly. You want to do that, but you want to show it through example. Another way is to encourage action and reflection. I went earlier in a training with a team of almost 30, 29 or 30. They were in a call today. And they all say that they take the time to reflect. It was probably the first time when this happens in the past year, when I find a team that actually highlights that they take the time to reflect. And it's important to have those mission-driven challenges that you can create, a challenge or a project that inspired by the stories that you share. And it's encouraging those teams to come up with their own mission moments and highlight them, and undertaking those initiatives that probably sometimes reflects most of the time the company's values and how that contributed to the goal. It's important to reflect, to have that reflection practices, because if you give them the time to reflect on that stories and their learning is getting cemented in their brain, now they can also share it with others and recognize pitfalls or anything else that may happen within different parts of the team or different parts of the organization. You can make very cool connections because of that. So those stories and their own stories, look at how they all the time bring them back on the personal level, but also highlight what is the possibility for the development, growing and creating some plans for someone to see how they could just, this small tactic of journaling can help them think about what is that they want to do next and help them get and achieve there. It is very different to drive something from the desire that you have instead of how do I feel, the moods that I have, right? So I can make a decision based on the desire that I want, and my focus, my brain is going to work in one way. Then if I just make a decision because I feel like it, I'm going to eat because I feel like I'm hungry, right? I just have to learn how to test what my behavior is, if it's going to be useful or not. So you could implement any of some of those. I hope by implementing those strategies, you will see how those storytelling and sharing with one another, moments of having related comments and ideas to the mission, can create a narrative that can now wave into the fabric of our organization and also bind the team. That's one of the most beneficial aspect of it because it binds the team to the mission. And you could also find that you set up the environment for they're like stepping stones for trust, for building the trust. Stories become a tool for engagement and also a mirror to reflecting the company's values. And it's so important to see how this impacts the collective efforts that you're doing as an organization. And I think through those stories, every challenge that we face, we are going to, and if we take the time to celebrate it, it becomes a shared experience, and it's reinforcing the sense of purpose and belonging for an employee, which comes back to creating, keeping them in that safe environment that is not only safe for them, but it's encouraging them to open up and share more from what they have to say or to contribute to your organization. Having just open door policy for a leader, it's not sufficient if you're not going out in the team and find those stories, connect with those stories, share what you have, and ask them to share what they have with you. As a leader, you will be always blind spotted because of the status that you play, and you're not going to get people to open up so easily if you're not making this effort. So that's why it's very clear, important. And the more clear the mission is for you, do not assume that this is how everybody else see it. Make an effort to revise that all the time. Keep like an entrepreneur mindset to this, to come back and sell it and resell it. We need to, in any relationship, to make an effort to keep ourselves on the level that we want to. If we're not doing anything at that moment for that relationship may just go apart. So do the same thing with everything that you have in your organization. Take the same approach for the mission to be integrated and solidified, ingrained in everybody's mind. Now, remember, you're going to have different generations that are coming to your place. So different generations are going to have different motivators. Create this time, make the time to have those one-on-ones, quick one-on-ones with everyone to just get to know what makes everybody tick. And then utilize that to be able to keep them engaged and also listen to what they would like to do and love to do, because that's also another pathway in creating and keeping people engaged, and also have them participate with them on playing on their strengths. All right, those are my thoughts today. If you have any questions, like always, please send me a quick note. I'm happy to also announce you that I'm going to work on work on creating more of an interactive training for you, and also an invitation to be part of one of those face-to-face on a Zoom with me, so we can get to see each other and I can just address any of the topics that I'm going to put up, or anything that you may have face-to-face. It is great when you are in the team and you hear that frustration firsthand. So it gives me an insight on how can I go aside for a few minutes and come back with a solution, or see what is from my past experience that I could bring in and contribute, and hopefully give you some directions in how can you just approach some of those critical elements of forming a team that will stay together in the times that are challenging, and in the times that are also ready for success. Because in either one of those behaviors are going to be challenging, not only for when we have a lot of success, but also for when we have some of the things that we need to learn. And sometimes we're more open to the learning than to celebrating. And that needs to change a little bit. It needs to be a balance between both of those. We need to celebrate even if we don't get the result that we want, because that celebration is going to give us the time to reflect and to identify what exactly is that I could do better next time, or I could share with others who are coming after me in that environment. Good. So if you like, I'm going to leave probably send a quick note in one of the comments here for with information to register to a workshop and to show you the date that is going to happen. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and keep it real to what exactly is happening in your organizations. Thank you, and talk to you soon. See you next week.